On today's Strictly Vikings, we talk my entire game day experience of the Minnesota Vikings game in London, England. Of course, we'll take our side eye look around the league. Spoiler alert, didn't watch a whole lot of football besides that Vikings game. We're going to take our Facebook scroll of the week. We're going to look ahead to the rest of the Vikings season with the bye this week. And of course, we'll end it off with our ChatGPT Vikings player. Let's get into it. Today is Thursday, October 10th, and the Minnesota Vikings can win in any country. That's right. The Minnesota Vikings take down the New York Jets in London, England, and I was there to witness it all. Hence the late episode. I got in yesterday, and basically on Airbnb, I didn't have any Wi-Fi. I had Wi-Fi, but it was the slowest thing alive, and it kind of sucks how much I rely on my phone and fast internet, but I was unable to upload the pod, get any clips, anything like that. So that's why the episode is being recorded a day late. But nonetheless, we are here. I am ready to talk about my entire game day in London, which started with a train ride to Tottenham Stadium. It was about 40 minutes. And let me tell you, walking through the train station and getting on the train, there was a million Vikings fans, so many Vikings fans, so many Justin Jefferson jerseys. It is unbelievable how Jefferson's name is taking over fandom across the world. So many Jefferson jerseys, easily the most out of any jersey I saw. I would probably say Rodgers was second most. Justin Jefferson cleared so many different players. So many different players. It was unbelievable to see. Pre-gaming was absolutely electric. The Jets themed bar and the Vikings themed bar were right next to each other. JETS, 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 Jets chants throughout the entire pregame, Skull chants throughout the entire pregame. It was so electric. It was a million times better than any other tailgate pregame that I've been to for other NFL games. And I was so excited to be there. But the chanting, the Jets have probably the best chant in the NFL to where you can just, like, all they do is say, oh, and then they go, Jets, 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 Jets. Like, it's so easy to start to where the Skull chant is sick. And it's unbelievable when you have the entire stadium doing it, but it's tough to do it when you need like a drum or you need a bang on a car. And I think that's what people were doing. There's a car parked outside the bar and people were slapping the roof of it to get the Skull chant going. It just kind of sucks when you have to start it like that. But otherwise, other people were also chanting the Vikings song. So they were saying Vikings. And that was pretty electric. That was honestly the first time I ever heard that in like a tailgating pregame scenery. So it was honestly dope to see that. But yeah, the Skull chant, it's a little tough to start when you don't have a giant drum or a horn to kick it off. But the pregame was absolutely electric. Saw some obscene Vikings jerseys the entire time I was there. The most obscene being a Mike Wallace number 11. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was going to be a Laquan Treadwell, and even that would have been obscene. Nothing could have compared me for a Mike Wallace jersey. I also saw a Greg Jennings, KJ Osborne. I'm trying to think of Latavius Murray jersey. Just jerseys through the roof. It was just an absolutely unbelievable atmosphere before the game. And of course, during the game, there was so much aura in that stadium. I mean, I walked into my seats. Shout out Tick Pick. We got great seats. I think 15, 16 rows up. Unbelievable seats. And the aura of just overcast, slightly raining. It was just the perfect London game setting. Because that's how it always is there, and I honestly didn't know that. It's mostly overcast. The sun comes out every once in a while, but a lot of rain here and there, a lot of overcast. It was the perfect London game. Stadium was unbelievable. They even made Sweet Caroline, my least favorite song on the face of the earth, entertaining for me. The entire stadium was singing it. And I know we do that here for college football and for NFL even sometimes, but something about it being in London, those people sing, cheer, scream way louder than they do over here in the States. Obviously, the intensity wasn't as high just because it's when you're in US Bank Stadium, everybody's cheering for the Vikings and everybody wants the Vikings to desperately win, to where over there it's not as intense, I would say. But the overall atmosphere is something that the United States cannot make up. And the fandom is unbelievable for the Vikings being 4,000 miles away in Minneapolis. To have that amount of fans overseas is crazy. And I'll kind of get to it later with side eye look around the league, but when you're 4,000 miles away, that's a 6-hour time difference from the Central Standard Time here in Minneapolis. So that means noon games are being kicked off at 6 o'clock on a Sunday. We're talking 325 games at 9:30 at night, finishing up around 12:30, 1 in the morning. And then we're talking primetime games kicking off at like 1:30 in the morning. And these guys watch the games. It's unbelievable. And the NFL is a chokehold on America, but man, if they can keep expanding this into different countries, and of course they have a great thing going on in London right now, there's no reason why the NFL shouldn't be an international sport and make international headlines and keep doing this in different countries. And obviously they're expanding every year, but it's unbelievable. And I can promise you that scene in London, I would say half the NFL doesn't have scenes like that. I've been to a lot of games in a lot of stadiums in America, and I can tell you that the Falcons, the Titans, probably even the Panthers, they don't have atmospheres like that. They don't have pre-games like that. They don't have fans that go out and drink and party for 4 hours before the game. Nobody does that for a lot of NFL teams. And for them to do that in London when the sport isn't even there and it's only present 4 weeks out of the year, it's crazy. Nuts. Obviously, the Vikings game was intense. I'm going to get into it right now. I mean, the offense was looking good to start the game, but then Aaron Jones got hurt. Sam Darnold took a huge hit, and nothing seemed to be the same after that. They jumped out to a 17-0 lead, of course, because of the Andrew Van Ginkel pick six and a CJ Ham touchdown. But after that, Vikings didn't really get anything going. Sam Darnold had a good drive to put the Vikings up 6. Instead of 3. That was a big drive from Sam and this offense with some nice completions to Justin Jefferson and Johnny Munt, but really nothing getting going in the second half. And yes, the Jets have a great defense, a Robert Salah unemployed led defense, but it really was Aaron Jones. He plays a huge factor in this offense. And when this run game can't get going and you don't really have to load the box against the Vikings, they struggle playing against an aggressive secondary. And that's what the Jets were doing. And honestly, there were a lot of penalties on the Jets, and that helped out the Vikings a lot. They were grabbing, they were holding, very similar to what the Packers did last week. And, sometimes they were getting away with it, but most of the time they weren't. And that helped the Vikings out a lot. So, the identity of this team is defense, and that's not a bad thing. If the identity of your team is defense and you have this loaded group on offense for the Vikings, that's great. That's a recipe for success. When you have Justin Jefferson on your team and your identity isn't offense, that means your defense is pretty stinking good. And that's a very promising thing for the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, Aaron Jones going out hurts. And if he's to miss multiple games, I think people are forgetting that TJ Hawkinson is going to be coming back. And passing to him can be kind of an extension of the run game, I want to say. 2-3 yard outs, give it to him just quick, let him run with it. TJ Hawkinson is that dynamic. And obviously, I don't know what the workload is going to be when he gets back and he hasn't played football in, quite some time. So we'll see what it is, but getting him back is going to be a huge help, especially if Aaron Jones misses games. Um, I honestly think the offense is obviously it struggled, but I trust KOC to get something going. I trust KOC to dial some stuff up. We're on a bye week. We have 2 weeks to prepare for the Lions. And I think we just really need to take advantage of this time off. Obviously, it's an earlier bye week, but 5-0 going into the bye. And we're nitpicking at things. The Vikings are undefeated. We're absolutely nitpicking on offense, what we want to see, uh, what they have left to prove. And there's not a whole lot. But the fact that we're sitting here at 5-0 and it's like all we need to do is see this, all we need to do is see that. That's perfectly fine. We're undefeated. If we were 3-2 going into the bye week, I would be ecstatic. We have a winning record going into the bye week. We're first place in the NFC North probably if we're 3-2. It's like it's perfect. But let's get to this defense. I mean, this might be one of the best 5-game stretches for a Vikings defense in franchise history. They have more turnovers than they do touchdowns allowed. They have electric playmaking with Andrew Van Ginkel, John Grenard. I think everybody in the secondary has an interception, at least one. Stephon Gilmore is making the veteran moves and veteran plays that this Vikings defense was looking for. And it's very exciting to have a player like that being able to make big plays in big time moments and having a guy that's used to doing that. And Stephon Gilmore is used to doing that. We're talking about a defensive player of the year in the NFL. And having him on the team is huge. This Vikings defense leads the NFL in pressures with 114 pressures. That's a way to get into a quarterback's head, and that's a way to muck up a game scheme. You're going to script your first 12, 15 plays of the game, but when the Vikings put 8 on the line and send 7, or maybe even send 3, and you have no idea what's going on, that's going to muck everything up. And a lot of teams can't handle that. And Aaron Rodgers kind of got exposed. I mean, throwing 3 interceptions, you could say he single-handedly cost the Jets that game, in which he honestly probably did. And he got his head coach fired because of it. But this Vikings defense is something different. And I'm telling you, it's one of the best 5-game stretches in Minnesota Vikings franchise history. And if they keep this up and this offense can start clicking again at a very high level in which they did to start the season, this is a Super Bowl caliber team, and there's no doubt about it. And yes, you can say it's the coaching. You can say it's KOC and B-Flow, and they have these guys overperforming. And sure, they might have these guys overperforming, but there's no doubt about it. A load of talent on both sides of the ball. And if you have a load of talent and you have good coaches that make them overperform, of course you're 5-0. Of course you haven't trailed in 4 straight games. Of course you're not even playing close games, as a matter of fact, in your first 5. Maybe 1 to 2 close games. I would say the Jets game was obviously the closest one. But when you're smoking teams and you're making statement wins on the road and at home, the NFL notices. And I want to make sure that the Minnesota Vikings stay on this path, stay hungry when they're not proving anything, when they're just doing what they're supposed to be doing, when they're just winning, and because that's what they're supposed to be doing with a team like this and coaching staff like this. I want to see them continue to do that after all the pats on the back, after being ranked number 1 and number 2 in the NFL power rankings, after being the number 1 seed in the NFC North, after being the number 1 seed in the NFC. I want to see the Vikings continue to do that, continue to make plays, and continue to try and get better. So they're playing their best football at the end of the year and hopefully in February. I want to see that happen. And the fact that you can win games without your offense playing the best and you can win games without your defense playing the best is a very strong testament to what this team is. Picking each other up when you're down. Huge. Big win. The Vikings are 5-0, undefeated. one of two undefeated teams, and the other one is the back-to-back Super Bowl champions. You don't take that lightly. Unbelievable stuff from the Vikings. A couple overall facts. The Vikings still haven't trailed since the Giants game, and they've played a load of a schedule. I remember when this schedule came out, I was like, we're looking at 1 to 2 wins to start the year. I had the boys chalked up for 7 or 8 wins this season. They're at 5, and they just got through the toughest part of their schedule. And I'm not saying we have automatic wins on the other side of this bye week, but man, we're not playing the Texans. We're not playing the Niners. We're not playing the Jets, one of the best defensive teams in the NFL. You know, we're playing the Cardinals. We're playing the Rams. We're playing the Bears. And those are all going to be tough games. I'm not saying that. You don't apologize for winning in the NFL, and there are no free wins in the NFL. But, man, when you have a lighter schedule than what you did to start the year and you're undefeated, hopefully you can only go up from there. They moved to 5-0 for the first time since 2016, a year in which they missed the playoffs. But this year feels completely different. You know, those 2016 games, you could go back and Vikings were playing good, don't get me wrong. Sam Bradford was playing out of his mind, just kind of how like Sam Darnold is now. But, you know, it's let's see the consistency of that. And I don't think we really did in 2016. You know, I can't really remember those first 5 games all that well, but I can promise you it didn't feel like this. I can promise you the Vikings weren't winning games like this, and they weren't doing it because of their defense. And I can guarantee you they didn't play the schedule that the Vikings had this season back in 2016. So this feels way different. We can't compare the two, I don't think. And I mean, ultimately, we're going to see what happens, but it would be a long shot for the Minnesota Vikings to miss the playoffs. I saw the Vikes at 2nd in NFL power rankings, but I've also seen them at number 1, which is crazy to see the Vikings that high. And obviously they got Robert Saleh fired. Chalked the Vikings up as the first NFL team to get a coach fired this season. And it came at a weird time on a Wednesday. Felt like it should have just happened on a Monday, even Tuesday, but no. Robert Saleh out after Aaron Rodgers throws 3 interceptions, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, you know, overall, very, very, very excited about this Vikings team. We're going to get into here in a little bit what I want to see from them in the rest of the year. But overall, you cannot complain at all about being 5-0. And even with the Facebook post, you're going to see some people being hesitant about this team. And it's unbelievable that they haven't lost a game and people are still finding ways to doubt them and to even miss the playoffs. So stay tuned for that. Excuse me. We're going to take our side eye look around the league. Let me get something straight. After the Vikings game was over, I had some beers, so my vision wasn't very clear. I didn't watch any of the noon games, I maybe watched the last quarter and a half of the 3:25 games. Can I remember them? No, probably not that much, but then I did watch like the 10, 15-minute recaps the NFL puts out after the games, so I watched some of those. But yeah, the primetime games start at 1:30 in the morning over there. So obviously I was not watching any of those. But Thursday night, cardiac Kirk Cousins. I mean, I was freaking out on this plane. I had a parlay and it was 2 Bijan rushing yards away from hitting like for $270 or something. So I was freaking out. Didn't hit. I did have the Falcons though, which helped. But the guy next to me on the plane was not having it. I was freaking out about this game. I was stressing. And the Falcons pulled it out. Cardiac Kirk Cousins. This Falcons offense is starting to click. And I think that's what people expected right from the jump. But it just took a couple of weeks for Kirk to get adjusted. He's looking healthier and healthier every week. And he's playing games that Vikings fans know he can play. So good to see it from him. The Bears looked better. They smoked the Panthers. But who can really tell? Because it's the Panthers we're talking about. The Jordan Love pick 6 was absolutely hilarious. And like I said, I watched that 10-minute, 12-minute recap on YouTube of the Packers-Rams game, and my God, did the Rams have a lot of opportunities to win that game. Not kicking a field goal on your first drive of the game when you're at like the 15, 4th and 5, unbelievable. Matthew Stafford taking a sack in field goal range when that's the last thing you can do, unbelievable. There was a lot of things that went right for the Packers that led them to win this game. And obviously, good teams make those things happen, and that's what the Packers do. But still, the Rams had a lot of opportunities to win those games. The Bengals and Ravens played a classic game. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing a Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase deep ball. Deep ball. Jamar Chase was absolutely balling. He deserves that new contract, and I believe the Bengals are going to give it to him. It was just a matter of, you have 2 years left on your contract, dude. Why don't you just keep playing? He's going to get that contract. He's probably going to get more money than he would have gotten this year. So, I mean, Jamar Chase is balling, but the Bengals lose, and they're 1-4, and they play the Giants, a sneaky, sneaky team now. So we'll see what happens. If the Bengals start 1-5, that's going to be crazy. And they're honestly going to miss the playoffs if they start 1-5, because who knows in that division if 12 wins is going to be enough. But AFC is juiced, and they're getting close to, like, not win out territory, but like 6 losses, 7 losses. That's tough to make the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, Lions didn't play. And like I said, I don't want to sit here and talk about the rest of the league when I didn't watch a single game live. So we'll just move on to our Facebook scroll of the week. We got a pretty good one this week, actually. Scrolling through it on the 5-hour and 40-minute plane ride home from Iceland, a 10-hour day of travel. And let me tell you, I am tired. 10-hour day of travel will do it to you. A 6-hour time zone difference will do it to you. Would I take it back? Absolutely not. I'm extremely blessed to do some of these things that I do in life, and a Vikings game to London is one of them. So, again, I don't say names, but go look up on Vikings Facebook. I'm sure you can find who say these things. But someone said this team has the potential to go 5-12 while only trailing less than 4 minutes of the season. It would be a record. Why do people think they're not going to win another game? 5-12? Are you kidding? I don't need to say what I just said 10 minutes ago about the Minnesota Vikings, but this team is legit Super Bowl contenders. And we have people saying they're going to lose out. Lose out. You could take all of our 22 starters off the field, and I'm confident enough we could trick our way to a win. Just because that's how the NFL works. 12 losses in a row, that's how people are feeling after a 5-0 start? Man, Vikings fans are crazy. Someone said if Flores leaves next year, we should pick up Saleh ASAP. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Robert Saleh was a great defensive coordinator in San Francisco, and obviously that got him the head coaching job in New York. But why are we already talking about next season? And if Flores leaves, and if so-and-so leaves, and if so-and-so is a free agent, man, let's just focus right now, dude. We got a good team. We got a great coaching staff. We'll figure it out in the offseason after everything happens. We'll figure it out. Have nothing against Sam Darnold, but this organization was ready for McCarthy, and so am I. We're 5-0, and we're talking about a quarterback change. What are we doing here, Vikings fans? We're 5-0. It doesn't matter how Sam Darnold played. If we're 5-0, there's going to be no quarterback change. Your quarterback could be a chimpanzee. And if you're 5-0, you're riding with the chimpanzee. Guaranteed. I don't know why we're talking about a quarterback change and why we're ready for McCarthy to play instead of Darnold when we're 5-0. 5-0. Doesn't make any sense. Someone said, just curious. Why is it when the Vikings are 5-0 why is it when the 5-0 Vikings win a close one, everyone loses their confidence in this team? When the Kansas City Chiefs wins 26-25 against the Bengals, who are 1-4, they're great. Boom shakalaka, skull brother. This is a great point. And obviously the Chiefs have the track record of being good and winning games and winning Super Bowls, and the Vikings don't. But at the same time, it's like the Vikings are winning games. The Chiefs are winning games, but they're by a freaking hair of a nail. What's the saying? By the skin of their teeth, they're winning. But yet people will have no question about the Chiefs and them going forward and all that stuff. But the Vikings are out here winning, and everyone's nitpicking. Everyone wants McCarthy to play. Sam Darnold needs to play better. We're 5-0. Stop complaining. If Vikings win the next 3, they should sit players against Jags and Titans. Come on now, brother. Sit games. We're benching starters. Benching starters in week 10 and 11 in the NFL. No. No. If we're 8-0, we're 8-0. If we're 8-0, we're gonna bench starters. Come on now, old man. But also, this dude has a Aaron Rod. Oh wait, I thought it was an Aaron Rodgers profile picture, but it's Harrison Smith sacking Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, do you think 8 wins is going to get you into the playoffs? Just pack it in right there? Absolutely not. Hot take. If McCarthy was healthy, he would get the start against the Lions in 2 weeks. Whoa. This is why I do this segment, because people are absolutely unbelievable with some of these takes. 5-0. 5-0. Undefeated. Haven't lost a game. And we're talking about making changes to the biggest position on the field. 5-0. Almost MVP leading Sam Darnold. 5-0. And we're talking about him getting benched. Unbelievable stuff, you guys. The Vikings were voted the least smart fan base in the NFL, the dumbest fan base in the NFL. I don't know how they tracked that. I don't know what they did to test that, but it is damn right. Morons. 5-0. 5-0. Someone said we should sign Dalvin Cook. Dumbest fan base in the league. Have you watched Dalvin Cook in the last 2 seasons? He stinks. And people are out here calling Ty Chandler bad. Ty Chandler's good. He didn't have his best 2 games, his last 2 games. Listen to me. If you watch Ty Chandler and you have a problem, go watch Dalvin Cook the last 2 seasons. You think he's going to come in and we're going to get 2018 Dalvin Cook? We should just sign AP. If we sign AP, we're going to get 2009 AP, right? 15 years ago AP, right? No. When Dalvin Cook was good, dude, we're talking 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Unbelievable stuff, you guys. Shout out to Minnesota Lynx. They're in the WNBA finals, by the way. And I say that because someone posted in the Facebook, said, "Hey, Green Bay, where's your WNBA title?" And that's facts. I think the Lynx have 4. Don't forget, don't even ask where's their 1. Where's their 4 WNBA titles and 5 coming this year. They're going to be on the second TV tonight. Thursday Night Football is going to be on the main with the volume. Got to listen to Al Michaels hate himself. And the Lynx will be on the right one. I don't know. There's playoff baseball, though. We're going to make a game time decision to have the Lynx on the TV or not. But, hey, Green Bay, where is your WNBA title? I don't see it. Get your money up, not your funny up. The second I saw Rodgers come running out of the tent, I knew it was going to be close. Perk Rodgers is a different dude. Now, that's facts. If you've never watched the Aaron Rodgers interview after his game against the Bears, I think it was like week 1 with Khalil Mack, when Khalil Mack was on the Bears. You have to watch that interview. That dude was that dude was perked up. And I forget who was interviewing him. It might have been the light-skinned lady from ESPN. Forget her name, because I think it was a Monday night game, but he was perked up, and my God, he was not thinking straight. But that's facts, though. When that dude gets on a perk, it's like he's just playing in his, that's like his natural, he's just playing naturally now. Like, when he's sober, that's not him. That's not Rodgers. Perk Rodgers is freaking MVP Rodgers. That's what it is. Sam Bradford, backup quarterback, 5-0, October 9th, 2016. Sam Darnold, backup quarterback, 5-0, October 9th, 2024. Anyone else thinking the same thing as I am? I'm not going to go over this one because I already talked. You can't compare the two seasons. You can't compare the teams. You can't compare the coaches. You can't compare anything. 2 different years. What happened, I've made a video about it. What happened in Minnesota sports past will not affect the outcome of this Vikings season. What happened to the 2003, 2004 Minnesota Timberwolves? What happened to the 98 Vikings? What happened to the 2015 Vikings? Will not affect the 2024 Vikings whatsoever. And I can promise you that. Our defense won that game for us. Very glad we have the next week off because adjustments are going to need to be made if the Vikings are going to have any chance to make the playoffs. Dude, you cannot make this up. Adjustments are going to. The first part of this is completely fine. Adjustments are going to need to be made. Guaranteed. You need to make adjustments in this league. You need to make adjustments every single week, no matter what. There's always ways to get better as a football team. If the Vikings are going to have a chance to make the playoffs, we're talking about the playoffs, dog. We're talking about the playoffs, dog. We're 5-0. I'm thinking Super Bowl right now. I'm thinking Super Bowl. I'm thinking NFC Championship. I'm thinking bye to the divisional round. Man, I'm not worried about the playoffs. People are worried about the playoffs? Come on, dog. And the last one, it was like beating the Packers 2 weeks in a row. Hey, there ain't nothing better. The best thing, the number one thing is a Vikings win. The only way to make that better is if it's against Green Bay, if it's a Super Bowl, and if it's against Aaron Rodgers. Those are the only 3 ways to elevate a Vikings win. And trust me, I love beating Aaron Rodgers. There's nothing better than beating the big mad man A-Rod. That concludes Vikings Facebook scroll of the week. That was probably the best one yet. I'm sorry for getting heated there, but man, Vikings fans are so spoiled now that we're 5-0. And they're just Debbie Downers, dude. Debbie Downers. Have some faith, man. You don't think we're going to make the playoffs? Good Lord. Vikings, here's my punishments. If you don't already know, I made a preseason list of punishments for corresponding teams. If the Vikings lose, I had to do the corresponding punishments. Obviously, I haven't had to do one yet. Achilles physical therapy for the day was on the line against the Jets. We move on. We're not going to have to do that. I had no idea what that entailed, but I will never have to know. So let's take a look at the rest of the punishments. The ones, I mean, I don't want to take a look at all of them. That will take too much time, but I think the easiest one is if they lose to the Packers, I have to drink 12 spotted cows and 2 large cheese curds. That's actually not that easy. The hardest one is the Colts. I have to swim an Indy 500 lap, which is like 2.5 miles, which is like 88 down and backs in a pool. Vikings really need to win that game. Let's just say that. They really need to win that game. Rest of the year preview here. I think, so like I said, the Vikings schedule loosens up a lot. I'm seeing a lot of wins for the Vikings, and I can't really, when you're 5-0, it's hard to find a loss. Obviously, there's going to be losses in there. Step one of this Vikings team is winning the division. You need to get past the Lions and the Packers to win the division. Then you have home field advantage for the first round or possibly a first round bye in the playoffs. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. I have 4 things I want to see from the Vikings. And again, I'm nitpicking. We're 5-0. I'm nitpicking here. I want to see the Vikings get down in a game and come back and win. I want to see them. It doesn't have to be like a lot. It doesn't have to be a 20-point comeback. I want to see Sam Darnold lead a game-winning drive down the field when we need him to and win the game, because more likely than not in the playoffs, you're going to be playing in games like that. And I want to see how this team responds when they go down. I want to see Sam Darnold still develop and continue to be a better quarterback every week. It feels like we've already hit the peak of Sam Darnold a couple weeks ago, and now we're coming down a little bit. I want to see him surpass that peak of what he was already at and continue to get better. I want him to get better every single week. I don't want him to stay still. Even if he stays still, That's fine, but I want to see him get better every single week, week in and week out. And obviously Hawkinson is going to help with that. I want to see the Vikings play when the entire media and NFL experts are behind them being good. And they've already been doing that for a couple weeks. People have already been starting to get behind the Vikings, hop on that bandwagon. But I want to see them obviously continue to do that. When you're 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, I want to see you continue playing like your hair is on fire and that you were and how you were playing in the first 5 weeks of the season. I want to see that when all you know is winning. You know what I mean? Lastly, a loss is going to happen. I don't think this team is going to be the whatever year Dolphins in the 70s to where they win out the entire season, win the bowl. I mean, that would be absolutely unbelievable. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I would love to see how this team responds after a loss. Sometimes with good teams like this, sometimes a loss is needed to get you back in check. I don't think that's the case right now for this Vikings team. They're on a roll, especially with a bye week. I don't think a loss is going to help after a bye week. So Vikings are riding high, players, coaches, fans, actually not some fans, but most fans. So I want to see what happens after this team loses and how they bounce back. Those are the 4 things I want to see from them the rest of the season. And again, nitpicking. I'm nitpicking because the Vikings are undefeated. That's going to wrap up the show. I appreciate you guys tuning in. You know I do. And I hope you enjoyed the London edition of Strictly Vikings. Vikings are on the bye next week. We're going to talk a lot of the other NFL next week. And we'll kind of take it from there. And of course, we will preview the Lions game. All right, here we go. ChatGPT, name the most random Vikings player you can think of. I'm going to go with Darren Sharper. Why not? How about Gus Forte? He was a quarterback for the Vikings in the mid-2000s and had quite the journey in the NFL. That's true. That one I couldn't gotten, but I was probably like around my 585th guess, Gus Forte. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. You guys have a blessed one.